All right, guys, today I want to go over a review of the Echelon. I've had a lot of people put in the comments, review the Echelon, tell me what you think about the Echelon. So I'm going to do that. Now, typically I'd be outside, but 2 nights ago I tried to fly my dog out of the airport. I've done it 7 times already, and they wouldn't let me fly for the 8th time and kick me out of the flight. So I'm still in Alaska right now, and it's 15 degrees with 68-mile-an-hour winds. Do the math on that. It's cold as sin. So I'm not going to stand out there to show you the gun. I'm going to do it inside. But I'm going to do it on the Echelon. I know there's a lot of professional YouTubers out there that, I don't know, gun tubers, whatever you call them, that do the reviews on guns and they get sent guns. But I'm actually going to go over the Echelon because I have put 26,000 rounds through this gun since we started this YouTube channel almost at about 6 months ago. So I figured it's worth me at least saying how I like the gun. I mean, obviously I love it, but everything wrong with it, nothing. And every problem I've had, malfunction, yada yada. So we're gonna go through it today, and I'll take it apart and just walk through it with me. All right, so I'm gonna tell you the origin of my little baby girl right here, okay? 5 months ago, when we started this YouTube channel in Alaska, not in Arizona, went to Sportsman's Warehouse, saw the old Echelon sitting there. Now, I'd asked a lot of people, I said, hey, what do you think about the Echelon? They told me that gun's trash, it sucks, you can't do nothing with it, buy a different gun, buy a Canic, buy a whatever, man. You hear the whole gambit of it. And I said, dude, I think I can shoot this Echelon. And they said, no, not the Echelon. I said, to be honest with you, man, I think it's the shooter, not the gun. The gun helps, but you can do it with any platform. And so everyone, even the guy at the counter, was like, hey, man, I mean, it's a good gun, but it's an Echelon, Springfield Armory. So I said, give it to me. Let's do it. So it came with 2 mags, bought the 3rd one, and then I put an extension on the 3rd one. I'll go through all that here in a minute. And then it came with a black lower and a green lower, the OD green, and then I just switched the back strap on it. But I'll definitely go through all that, but I just want to tell you right off the rip, I paid $600 at the time, about 5 months ago, for this gun right off the shelf, and then I got a Hollow Sun 507 comp. Favorite red dot on the planet. People don't like Hollow Sun. I don't care how you feel. I love Hollow Sun. Trijicon, I don't really like them that much. They haven't done too well for me, and they fail on me a lot. I've never had a problem with this Hollow Sun. It's been on there the whole time, minus a few times I put the SRO on there, and I took it immediately off. That's why this sits on there. And then I put the TLR 7X light on there just as a counterweight, and it was like 120 bucks behind the counter at Sportsman's Warehouse. So 600 for the gun, 500 for the red dot, and then 120 for this. You do the math. So real quick, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna lock it back to the rear. I'm gonna do it so you guys can see this. Slide that down, push it back, top comes right on off. So spring, and I'll show you guys every single piece as we go through this, because like I said, it's got a lot of rounds to this gun. I'll even take the light off for you just so we can take this thing down bare bones all the way. Okay, there's our TLR 7X. There's a little button inside of here in the magwell. Just pull it, there comes that back strap. There's that lower. Now we're gonna do 2 different things. I'm gonna push this out. I pull the trigger a little bit. People say you don't need to, but I do. And I just give it a little tug and twist. There's that piece. And then to pull the trigger assembly out, you slightly pull in the trigger and you grab this bar, pull forward. There's that. Now in order to get this out, people use the little rods and all that fancy stuff. I just use the back strap. Just press it in here. Boom, press it out. Here's that piece. Here's that piece, and then here's that little spring. Now this thing's completely disassembled, I guess you could say it. And now I want to go over what I did with it. So I told you I put the red dot on it, which is a pain in the ass on its own. I could not figure that out for the life of me. This already comes optic cut and ready to go for like, I don't know, 100 different ones or whatever they preach in there, whatever it is. All I know is I didn't have to pay $120 for a plate to put on here. So I slapped that on there, and I used red thread locker. I'm telling you that right now, I did. I don't care how you guys feel about that, I use red thread locker. Barrel, not too bad. I do clean it, but not too bad. It's a little dirty on the inside because I didn't mess with it, but not too much wear and tear for 26K. I'll be straight with you. I've seen the guns a lot worse. Spring, beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. You can see from I use this as a counterweight. I don't ever use a light on here because if I remember in a situation in airsoft or something like that, and someone's in my house or something, I'm not going to turn the light on to let everyone know where I'm at. So I just use this as a counterweight for help with recoil management. And you can see I have to clean this off all the time because of the carbon buildup. Now we move on to the trigger assembly. Don't ask me all the names and parts of it because I'm not going to tell you all of them. All I know is I pull these bad Larrys off. Here it is, I just cleaned it on up. You can see wear and tear, not too much for 26,000 rounds. I haven't had too many issues with it. At all, actually. Malfunctions here and there, but just the usual wear and tear, I think. And then you can see the magazines. Obviously, I haven't done 26,000 reloads, but I've done thousands of reloads dry firing at the house, and you can see at least they're all kind of beat up from jamming them in there, and no problem. I do recommend cleaning these out every once in a while. If you don't, or I leave them depressed where I have 21 rounds in there, that spring gets a little loose and I start having malfunction problems with my gun because it's not feeding them correctly. But those are the 3 mags. That's the gun fully apart right there. You can see my hands have been in this grip. You can see it on both sides. I ripped this whole son. But overall, that's how simple it is to take apart. All right, so here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna put it back together. I'm gonna show you, no cuts, no edits, putting it back because it is a pain in the ass sometimes. I'm sitting there going like, what the hell's going on? Anyways, we're gonna put this back together. So this little part right here, you can see it sits on this detent. I'm gonna sit right there, put this bar in, slide into this hole. Now, trick answer for you. This right here, I tried to put this back in and I had this sitting up and I was sitting there jamming this thing into the gun and I'm like, why is this thing not going back in? This needs to be turned facing down. It needs to be horizontal because it sits on the rail. And I'll show you that in a minute. But first thing I do like to do is put the mag release back in. So when I put that back in, that detent sits upwards, that V sits upwards and then towards the mag. Slide it in home. So you can see it in here. Now, this little Larry right here, you have to set this. I'm gonna take it out one more time just to show you guys. You have to set this so that it sits in a spring and this rod sits right here to hold it. That way it can go back and forth, but it snaps back. I'll show you that real quick. Okay. Oh, fell out the back. You can see that little detent in there. I can't really see because I'm kind of just showing you guys, but it needs to fit right in this little hole. So I need to see where it is. Here she goes. Come on. Come on. Okay. Now you have to press it down a little bit to where you can see through that little pinhole. Once you can see through that pinhole, you slide your little piece back in here. Come on. Boom. Okay. Just like take a little flathead or something. Press it back down. Okay, now let's check that. You can see that works. Okay, that's good to go. Now, dropping the trigger back in. I set it down at an angle right here. It sits inside this little piece. You can't tell too well, but these things right here sit inside this rail. And you gotta drop that trigger in there. Come on. Okay, see how I dropped it in there? Now you have to pull the trigger back a little bit and set it down in there. Now that it's set down, you still have to pull the trigger a little bit and press back. And it'll seat in there. In order for you to know that you're good to go is there won't be any gap back here. And I can see all the way through this minus this little hook, which is a pain in the ass on its own. So now I'm gonna put this back on. I press in, slide it. Back strap, good to go. Now, this is the death of me. Every time. Every time it pisses me off. I guarantee there's a smarter way to do this, but I'm just gonna show you how I do it. I'm not saying it's the right way to do it. But I'm gonna show you guys up close. I twist it and I put force. You're probably not supposed to put force. People are gonna say, oh, don't do that. I don't care how you feel, do it your way. Then when I get it to here, I set it up and I rotate it. Come on, so that it goes flat. Press it, boom, flat. Okay, now with that being there, first of all, real quick, you can see all this. Not too bad, not too bad. Some would say that ain't bad. Trademarked. All right, now put the barrel back in. Here we go. Okay. Now, with this still being down, I'm gonna slide this back on there like this. Lock it back to, come on, son. Lock it back to the rear. Close it. Let it go. Now, pull the trigger. Hold the trigger. Let it go. Hear the sear reset. Pull the trigger again. It's what you call a function check. So, trigger. Sear. Pull. Good to go. Now I throw my little light back on here real quick. Come on. Real world problems here, boys and girls. Okay, now some people with lights, I know some people run them up here like this, sticking out. Some people run them flush, and then some people run them all the way down here, but this gets in the way of my finger. I do not like it that way, so I put it directly on this middle one. It's flush. My finger, it's not in the trigger guard, whatever you want to call it. Tighten that bad Larry back up. Okay. Now, that was fully assembled and fully disassembled, and you can see how quick that is, so you can do a field clean. You can do whatever you want to do. Now, magazines wise, I don't want to go into this, but I think I will go into this because it is something that I had to figure out and I didn't really necessarily know what was going on, but we will go into it. I'm going to take apart the mag. Now, instead of using any fancy tools or whatever, I'm just going to use the back strap again. Now, I just detent this, push that sucker down. Oh, she's not clean. Pull that off. Here we go. Just like that. Now, as you can tell, I need to clean her up a little bit. She's a little dirty. I feel bad about that. But, simple as that. They come here like this. These are 17 standard rounds, right? Or 17 round magazine is standard. You can buy these, just these little pieces right here. I don't know how much. That kind of came with one extra in the case that I bought with it. But it adds it, so it's basically like this, from 17 to 21 rounds. I'm not gonna do any cuts or anything. I'm just gonna show you guys how to put this back on. It's a pain in the ass. Press it down hard, slide it up in this groove. You can see this groove right here. Push it against my chest. And I slide it up. And then as you click it, you're about to see this thing come up. See it come up like that? Now, we're in business. It goes the same for your standard 17 rounders. Come on. She's dirty. Come on. Okay. Okay. You can tell she's dirty as well. Man, I haven't done my due diligence on this bad Larry. But anyway, clean these out. Clean on the inside of here, because when you're doing mag reloads and you're dropping on the ground in the dirt, whatever it is, you're starting to fill that up. And then, as you know, the rounds catch it, the debris goes inside the barrel, junk in there, and that's when it creates problems. So, this one, pain in my butt. We're gonna put this back on here somehow. I'm gonna do it in front of you guys. I dislike this so much. Okay. And I'm sure there's dudes that got way better solutions to doing this easier. I don't, so listen to them. So I'm not a professional reviewer. But slide this down. Boom. Now we still got our 17 round mag, still strong as ever. And then after I clean all of them out, I do like to check them, function check them. So, here, and then I'll add rounds in there just to make sure everything's squared away. Overall, that's the take apart and build of the Echelon right there. I do want to go over, there's one thing I do want to tell you guys. A lot of people told me it was a terrible gun. Don't buy it. It's going to malfunction. It doesn't shoot well. I have never had an issue other than a few malfunctions, but most of them are user-induced. Usually it's my fault. whether I barely seat it on a new reload and I don't seat it all the way to send her home, or whether I use dry lube. Usually I use a CLP. Everyone uses CLP. Or if I ain't got none of them out of the range, you can just spit into it. I mean, that's a serious thing. I know a lot of people that do that. You can lock it back and you just spit on in there. And I put a little bit right here. That way she rides smooth. I can't complain. I love this gun more than anything. You can see all the paint splatter from the couple months of paint cans just obliterating it. I've had to try to wash it off many times, but luckily the black on here, and then I got some on the sight window on the hollow sun. It's open emitter. It goes at 2 MOA, 8 MOA, 22 MOA, and 32 MOA, which I don't use any of those but 2 MOA personally. But I love this gun. This is my ride or die gun right here. I carry it every day. A lot of people ask about a holster. I do not recommend this, but I put this straight in my pants. Don't do that. I do it. It's stupid. I don't recommend it, just so you guys know. But overall, that's the gun I run every day. People ask me about upgraded triggers. There's no upgraded trigger in there. There's no upgraded, sear or, guide rod, none of that stuff. This is straight out of Swarthen's warehouse, $600 with a hollow sun and a TLR 7X light on there. And overall, I could love it more than any gun I've shot before. Now, I have shot staccatos before, my buddy's staccatos. Can't afford them. I would buy one if I could afford them, but I feel like I speak for a lot of people out there that can't really just afford a staccato like that. And then I do shoot the Prodigy, which you guys have seen, and I'll come up with a video on that here later on. I think maybe in the next month or two. But I had to do one on the Echelon because a lot of people asked me about it. For me personally, it's a 10 out of 10. Could I get a new trigger in it? Could I be able to sit there like some of these guys and do this little where it racks for you? Congratulations, man. But you don't need that kind of gun to shoot good. All you need is repetition, dry fire, and then get out to the range and get after it. So with that being said, there's the Echelon. Super simple. If you want to get one, I don't blame you, because these are some of the best pistols, hands down. But other than that, just remember, get out there, shoot, get after it. I challenge all of you guys to challenge each other and just become better shooters and have fun at it. So that ain't bad. You're welcome.